Welcome back, everybody, for another round of Charlie Brown Politics. Let's get right into it. Now, we have a heated debate between Bassem Youssef and somebody from the PBD podcast. Now, if you don't know who Bassem Youssef is, he is a Egyptian comic that has really come to light recently because he's been giving a voice for the Palestinians. His wife is from Gaza. Her family is in Gaza, so he is obviously very sympathetic to what is happening, very knowledgeable. He went on Piers Morgan and did a viral show that millions of people around the world saw, and he used this very clever version of satire comedy to get his points and his arguments across. And it worked so well that Piers had to fly across the country to do another interview with him, and it was great. So we have a heated exchange, a heated debate between one of the hosts from the PBD podcast. His name's Adam. I guess he's Jewish and has family that lives in Israel. So this is also something that he has strong feelings for. And him and Vassif just get into it pretty heatedly. So I got a bunch of clips that I want to show you guys. And so this first one, we'll just jump right into it and start reacting, shall we?
Rule of Israel. It's just because they humiliate you.
And that's because you're Arab, or that's because
they're Arab.
But they have 20% of their population is Arab. They're not leaving.
Yeah, but they're treating them like shit.
Not according to them. I've seen them. I've met them.
I met them too. I mean, they don't have like you talking about the 20% of Palestinians.
I'm talking about the 20% of Israelis are Muslims or Arabs.
Yeah.
If given a choice to move to any other Middle Eastern country, given the state of circumstances in the Middle East, they would choose 100 times out of 100 to stay in the democracy of Israel. Why don't they leave?
Have you talked to them about their healthcare and their schools? Because they're about like 25 Arab cities that they don't have hospitals or schools. They have to take
in Gaza and the West Bank.
No, I'm talking about inside Israel. I'm talking about Arabs with Israeli passports, fully fledged Israeli citizens. They don't have a single cinema, they don't have a single hospital, they don't have a single school in their cities, and they have to go to the Jewish states in order to go there. There are many daily microaggressions against the Arabs who live in Israel having the Israeli passport. Mm-hmm. Even within the Israeli community, you have slurs.
All right, so that's going to be the first place I want to stop. Now, I hear this argument from pro-Israeli people brought up quite often. 20% of their population are Arabs. How can they be in an apartheid state if they allow them to live there? And they claim that they have fair and equal rights for them as well. But as Yusum correctly pointed out, that is false, okay? There are a long list of things we can point to that are discriminatory with the Arabs that have an Israeli passport and live in Israel. So let me pull up this first receipt that I have. So I simply did bias laws against Arabs, and the first things that pop up, there are currently more than 65 Israeli laws that discriminate against Palestinian citizens in Israel and the residents occupied within Israel. I just scroll down because some of you might not trust Al Jazeera. That's fine. I'm seeing the same number. Okay, this was just a simple thing that I looked up. I have heard from other sources as well, like Max Blumenthal, talk about all the different ways that Israel will discriminate against Arab citizens within Israel. Okay, and another point that I want to point out against this argument is this is the equivalency to somebody in the United States saying, hey, since Barack Obama was elected president, the black community no longer has problems. It's fair, it's equal, it's a equal playing ground. From now on, the oppression of the past 400 years is no longer affecting the black community. False. We all know that this is false. The success of an individual from a minority group does not equal the success of that minority group's community. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just the first argument and first receipt that I want to show you on this debate. So let's skip forward just a little bit and react to the next part.
It's interesting too what question you're asking, right? Because like I'll sit there and if you want to read this real quick, I'll sit there and I'll talk to my friends in California and I'll say, hey, you know, California, this, I hate California. I hate this. I hate that. I hate this. And he'll say, well, why don't you leave? I can't leave California. Why can't you leave California? Well, because my family's here, my unit's here, my kids are here, my uncle, my aunt, my grandma, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, got it. But I hate it here. I wish I was living in Texas or I was living in Florida, whatever, okay. Some people here, I can't believe, you know, da-da-da. Okay, why don't you leave? Well, I can't, you know, this, that. We lived in Iran. We left, lived in Tehran for 10 years. And I mean, I went to school there till 5th grade. I read, write, Farsi, everything till I left. And I went to Germany, right? I lived in Germany for a year and a half. And then we finally get here. Like, holy shit, we make it to America, right? It's like a dream. But the people that, it's not the people that can't leave that give the argument of why don't they leave. It's the people that can leave that choose to stay. Why do you choose to stay? Like, I'd love to have a room full of 50 people who are Arabs who can choose to leave Israel. Why are you not leaving? Make sense? Just to kind of get an idea. What would you say? Why are you not leaving, right? If you have the ability to leave, you can go to a different place. Why don't you choose?
Why do 2 million people in Gaza being bombed every single day for 100 days? Why don't they leave? Because that's their land. Right? So you can be living in a very shitty situation, but you will not leave because you know that you're not going to get back again. There's those people living in Gaza, 2.2 million people. They're living under subhuman conditions. They could leave. As a matter of fact, everybody pushing them to leave through Sinai and say, oh no, we will not leave because this is our land. Sometimes you get connected to the land and it doesn't matter how bad. So to answer your question, why don't you leave? Because that's their land.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the Arabs in Israel. But
yeah. Because they consider that still their land.
Yeah, but...
Okay. I want to also point out something as well. Great point by Bassem. He's doing an excellent job answering that question because it's their land, and if they leave, they know that they will never get it back. So some of the people that were told to leave, guess what? They tried to leave PBD podcast, and guess what happened to them? Let me pull up a quick receipt real quick. Okay, a lot of them were told to go south to the Rafah crossing to exit to Egypt. And this is from the Times of Israel. Israel said to bomb Rafah crossing to Egypt after telling Gazans to flee through it. You see the problem here? They told them to flee to the south, and they bombed the crossing that they were told to flee to. So that's just one receipt that I wanted to point out, and we'll just keep going along with this video.
There's so many different ways we can have this conversation, but
and hold on tight because the next part, yeah, it gets even worse.
Everything for me comes down to socioeconomics. Okay, to me, I'm always wondering, why is the Palestinian plight at the forefront of the news? All right, now we're starting to see Yemen in the news. People don't realize for 10 years there's been a civil war with the Houthi rebels, Saudis, Sunnis, Shiites, Iranian-backed militants killing each other. Never in the news. Syria, tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people murdered. We know what's going on in Iraq, what's going on in Afghanistan. This is not an anomaly in the Middle East. But in my opinion, humbly, with all due respect, what's going on in Gaza is the equivalent of BLM in the States. What do I mean? So, black on black crime. Every single weekend in Baltimore, in DC, in Chicago, you name the city, there's black on black crime. Let one cop kill a black guy, George Floyd, national, international news. In the Middle East, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, you name it, Iraq, every day, Muslims are killing other Muslims. A lot of it is Islamists, fundamentalists. There's no marches, there's no protests, but Israel defends itself after October 7th, and I've seen you condemn Hamas for October 7th, but you've also sympathized with the Palestinians, as you should. But all of a sudden, that's the biggest story in the news. Why the distinguishment? Why can't Muslims
There's a
say...
difference between comparing conflicts, civil war, and then allowing another country to bomb you from the sky every single day for 100 days. You cannot compare the both. And actually, your tone of voice, when you say, oh, there is like black and black, Arabs killing each other, in your undertone is saying, yeah, they don't deserve to live, so let's Israel kill them.
0%.
This is exactly what you're saying. No, this is what you're saying.
That's not what I said.
No, this is what I'm saying.
I asked a question, you're reading into my tone.
You have absolutely no sympathy for the Palestinian killing because
that's not true at all. Don't put words in my mouth.
No, seriously.
I 100% have sympathy.
Your entrance into this conversation is extremely racist because you say, well, Arabs have been killing each other. First of all, the Arabs have been killing each other. These are called either proxy wars or civil wars. But this is different because...
Let me stop it real quick. So yeah, that was that was interesting. An interesting take, a pretty terrible take on my part. So he's comparing like we have crimes throughout our cities, but one black person gets killed by a cop and then everybody protests and is all up in arms, but nobody was upset before. So he's missing the context that led up to those riots. Okay, if you can only look at what happened with the George Floyd case, for instance, and that's where your story starts, is when George Floyd died. You're starting in the middle of the story, okay? You have to go back. There are events in history that led up to the events that happened and the protests that happened after George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement didn't start because one person died under police, brutality. It was years and years of violence and oppression put among a population, among a set of people, and finally they pushed back. And so when somebody sees a riot or a protest take place and they burn down a Quick Trip or something, and you're like, oh gosh, why would they do that? That's an excellent question. You have to explore that why and what would drive people to have that type of rage and act out in this way. Well, guess what? There's events, historical context, and things that led up to the moment that where we're at. The same thing can be said about October 7th. If you start in October 7th and be like, oh, why? You can't start the story in October 7th. October 7th was a response to the way a population was being treated for years upon years upon years. And if you can't understand that, I don't know. I don't know how to help you there. You're missing the context of the whole situation. You can't start the story in the middle, people. There are things that lead up to where we're at. Situations, have, most of the time things just don't happen for no reason. Things build up. There's history. There's context. What else can I say? Let's continue on here.
The America is not standing behind Saudi Arabia voting every single UN resolution like Israel. Israel is killing Palestinians and nobody can do anything for them in the UN or the Security Council. Right? You can talk about how Saudis are killing the Houthis or the Yemenis or how Iran. But when they go to the Security Council, America doesn't use the veto. You know how many vetoes did America use since the inception of the Security Council? How many?
Tell me.
88. How many of those were they used in order to protect Israel from a veto?
0.
56.
Oh.
The superpower of the world over 50 years used more than 65% of its veto power to protect one country. You cannot compare both.
So why do you think that is? Why is Israel so aligned with Israel? I'm sorry, why is U.S. so aligned with Israel over Gaza?
I don't know. I mean, there's like a million.
Ask yourself.
Why? So why?
I want to know.
Tell me. Because they're white like them? They're allowed to put people
Who's
up.
white?
Well, I mean, a lot of Americans consider
Who's white?
Israel is the white.
But you know
American.
for a fact.
I
that
know.
Most
But
Israelis are
it's-
Sephardic and they're brown.
It's the perception.
So it's bullshit,
It's the
is what I'm
perception.
saying. Exactly.
It's a perception, So this is how Israel promotes itself. We are a secular, we are a democratic country. I have never seen a secular or democratic country that would actually give contraception shots to its own citizens, to their Ethiopian Jews, and make them not to reproduce. And until 2013, they have confessed doing that. They have been doing this for 10 years. That is not a democratic country. I have never heard a secular country, a democratic country.
So let me reinstate what he just said. He has never heard of a democratic country giving contraceptive shots to its own citizens. Now, what is Bassem talking about? It has been reported that Israel has given the depot shot to Ethiopian Jews that were Israeli citizens. And if you don't believe me, here are the receipts. Here we go. And this is from Haaretz, an Israeli news outlet. Okay, Israel admits Ethiopian women were given birth control shots. Health Ministry Director General instructs all gynecologists in Israel's 4 health maintenance organizations not to inject women with long-acting contraceptive depot if they do not understand ramifications of treatment. There you have it. So, that's just a receipt that I wanted to show in case anybody out there is like thinking that Bassem was just pulling that out of his ass. He was not.
That would kidnap little kids from Yemeni Jews in 1950 and then take them away and then tell their parents that they die. And they did that in order to instill Semitic DNA in their population. That's why DNA testing is not allowed in Israel.
So are you pro-Islam? Are you anti-Israel or both?
I'm not pro anything. I'm pro humanity, man.
So am I.
It doesn't matter my religion is. I don't care actually, and I can give you 100 things I can tell you about Islamic countries that they do wrong. But what happens is right now is that the people who are bombing people only every single day, they are not Yemenis, they're not Houthis, they're not Saudis, they're Israelis. For 100 days, they have dropped almost 3 nuclear weapons on an open air prison, and all because of Hamas. Dude, if ISIS was already there, you have no excuse to kill 30,000 people.
You can't say words like nuclear weapons when it's not true, Bassem, and you know that.
The equivalent of 3. No, I can't.
So now they're dropping nuclear weapons? That's what you're trying to sell me on this one now?
I said like they're dropping the equivalent of 3 nuclear weapons.
So how many people have died in Gaza?
Okay, and so freaking this Adam guy, I'm sorry, but he's a D-bag, kind of, when it comes to this. Maybe he's all right on other subjects, but he is totally, he's getting squashed in this debate. Bassem is completely dropping the hammer on him. How did he not understand that? He said the equivalency of 3 nuclear bombs, okay? And guess what? I thought just to help Bassem out, I would bring up the receipts. Here we go. This is from Al Mayadeen English. Israel drops equivalent to 3 Hiroshima nuclear bombs on Gaza. So the amount of explosive tons is the equivalency to 3 nuclear bombs. So the debate keeps going on. There's so much to cover in this. I wish I could go through it all and pull out the receipts for Bassem to show that he's not just pulling this stuff out of his ass. He's got legitimate things going on here. Man. I got one more clip that I want to show you guys, and it's, in my opinion, the best clip of the night. And I hope you find it as enjoyable as I did. So without further ado.
So Israelis' numbers are inflated, 1,200, but the 30,000 from Hamas is not inflated? You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
As a matter of fact, according to Israeli survivors, they said that many of these casualties happened because Israeli troops came in and indiscriminately killed everybody, including the hostages.
That's the first time I've heard that story. I've been
First
covering
time,
this.
because you were not covering, because you have not listening to the survivors from the Israelis. On the
Every
7th of-
morning
they have
I
been all
read
there.
credible sources, Wall Street Journal, Fox News,
Fox News.
Bloomberg.
Oh my God! Can you believe that? Ah! Fox News, bro. Fox News. What do you say? Bloomberg and Wall Street Journal. Sorry, guys, I got a little loud there. That's unbelievable. Hey, Adam, I hope you know that the Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch, the same as Fox News. Now, I would say that, are they credible sources, or do these sources have a biased opinion about them? I don't know. Can Fox News put out information that goes against their corporate donors that donate to their news outlets? People like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, I don't know, Pfizer, when they're advertising the... You know what I'm talking about, people. Man, credible sources. That was just too fucking good. My favorite part of the whole thing. And so just before that, I don't know if you caught that, Bassem was saying that out of the 1,200 people that were killed on October 7th, reports have come to show that some of those people were killed by the IDF. And once again, I want to bring up the receipt for that. This is from the Gray Zone. I did an actual whole video on this. I think I did it on my channel. I might have done it on the live stream channel that I do with RBN. Anyway, and we're not going to go through the whole thing. I just want to show the headlines here. You know, it says Israeli tank gunner reveals orders to fire indiscriminately into kibbutz, which is like an Israeli town, report. And there was a whole video on there, and you know, lots of evidence to back up what Bassem was saying right there. Yeah, so this one, guys, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Go check out the whole thing. There was so much in it, so many things. Bassem pretty much drug his fucking nutsack across Adam's face during the whole debate, and Bassem had traveled like thousands of miles within the past 5 days, flew on like 5 or 6 different planes. His back was killing him, and he had a show that night. So this guy was, you know, tired. He was, I think, on some type of pain reliever for his back. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But my point being is, even with his mind being a little drugged down, he still went in there and destroyed. So thank God for Bassem speaking for the plight of the Palestinians and bringing the suffering to light. And, you know, good for PBD for bringing him on. And even Adam, even though I thought his arguments were atrocious and he totally got his ass beat in the debate, he had the debate with him. He, you know, would speak over him a lot at times, as people tend to do in a debate. I've been guilty of that as well. But, you know, they had him on. Credit for them for giving Bassem the time, the voice, and the platform. PBD has a lot of viewers, so a lot of people saw that interview and got to hear that side and that point or that narrative, right? So let's wrap up the video, guys. Tell me what you're thinking. Who won the debate? In my opinion, you know who I thought won. I thought Bassem was a champion. So with that, you know, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that, and I will catch you on the next episode, guys. Thank you so much.